Welcome to the Retail Tech Podcast. My name is Darius Wasafi, and today I am joined by Ryan Esteb, VP of Sales at Shiftlab. Hi, Ryan.
Hey Darius, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me. Let's start with a brief bio on your own background and how you got to Shiftlab.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of dating myself here, but started working at Singular Wireless many moons ago, and eventually was part of that acquisition where AT&T took over. So worked there for a bit, worked for Verizon corporate for a while, and ended up at Avis Budget Rental Car, and then had a good career going there. And then COVID kind of changed the way rental car was going. So it led me to kind of look for an opportunity and met Devin Trake, who was the founder and CEO of Shiftlab. And we hit it off, and I started leading sales here at Shiftlab in 2022, yeah, the rest has been history. So
Wow, that's a pretty interesting mix of experiences from cellular to rental and now employee management. So
yeah,
that's a pretty
yeah.
good mix.
Yeah, it's been good. I like to lean on my experiences because ShiftLab obviously looks to automate a lot of these processes and bring in the data to make informed decisions. Back when I was managing wireless stores and rental car counters, I was manually staffing. Looking at my printouts of traffic and trying to do the conversion metrics and put them where I thought they needed to be. But yeah, so it's definitely an interesting mix.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what ShiftLab does.
Yeah, so Shiftlab is a workforce optimization platform. So we bring in point of sale data, we bring in traffic data. We have a lot of back end settings that are administration level. So we are able to rank employees off of key performance indicators that are important to the organization. So we ensure that we are putting your right people in the right shift at the right time. We want to put the top performers in the most high volume shifts. We want to drive conversion. We want to make sure, in the middle of the week, we don't have 4 or 5 people just standing around. We want to flex that staffing model to mirror traffic. So we use machine learning to forecast out kind of what that traffic pattern and what that labor is going to look like based on your sales history and your traffic history. And then we have a time clock solution that we just decided to build because we saw a lot of time theft out there in retail. So, things like break attestations, early punch prevention, auto clock out reconciliation. So we've all lived this life before. Our VP of sales, Sean, ran a large cricket dealer for a while. Devin was a VP of analytics for a large Verizon retailer. So we've all sat in those seats. So we just wanted to set out to solve some of these problems.
So let's start by one of my biggest questions about retail staffing, and that is why can't people get a consistent schedule?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the way retail works, consistency, we're at the mercy of traffic flows, right? We're the ebbs and flows. That's one of the things that ShiftLab does really well is with our forecasting of traffic, we're able to make sure that people aren't standing around wasting their time. One of the metrics that we're working on is retention, because we do see a lot of people that are seeing benefit of being in the store when the customer's in the store. So rather than standing around and waiting, they're actually there to help, earn more commissions or drive more sales. So, that's one of the benefits that we see. But yeah, from a consistency on a schedule standpoint, we're at the mercy of the traffic trends.
I understand the traffic side, but to be honest, the traffic it can also be predictable. Like weekends are going to be busy.
Yep.
Like lunchtimes are going to be busy.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, maybe there is 20% variation here and there, but 80% is it, and it still is not a. And maybe this is something the new version of AI is going to fix, but I think that's like something that people have gotten used to, of course.
Yeah.
But it's unpleasant. You can't like schedule your life around you're already not making a ton of money as a retail frontline employee. And this is just adds another level of uncertainty that I think
Yeah.
I'm hoping it can be better.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about our forecasting and you keep mentioning AI and our machine learning is, we may leverage somebody on a Tuesday for 6 hours, but then on a Saturday, to your point, we know the weekends are going to be busy, so we may actually have them flex up and work 8.5 or 9 hours, depending on what the organization will allow. But that gives it definitely helps with that work-life balance, versus a manager typically is just going to say, hey, I know I need to get Darius 40 hours. Let me just do 8 hours here, 8 hours here. Our machine learning actually runs calculations by 15-minute increments. So it says, does it make sense to keep Ryan around for 15 more minutes based on a profitability scale? And if it does, it'll extend it. If not, it'll cut the shift short and just repurpose those hours when traffic trends are needed. So
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I've actually like tried a couple of different uh, gig short-term jobs at retailers just to see what it is like from the inside. And I can definitely see that it's going to be so like what I saw in one instance was that the manager actually like the assistant manager actually was responsible for scheduling and she had to like go through spend so much time figuring out who's going to come in, who's not going to come in, what time and all that stuff. And I would have expected all this to be like automated by
yeah.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get in conversations and that's one of the questions, we like to ask is like how long are you spending on managing and building a schedule? And, to this day, people are living in Excel and spending 4 or 5, 6 hours. After we set up their account, we can build a schedule in 15 seconds. So yeah,
Okay, that's
definitely a
good.
wild world. Yep.
That's really good. I think that'll be a really positive thing for the retail employees.
Yep.
Now let's talk about what are some of the like a major shifts that you see coming in the space as far as like employment, like uh, layoffs or tariffs, and there's so many variables now.
Yeah. I think the most unfortunate one, is the layoffs. I think Verizon recently announced a mass layoff. They liquidated a few of their corporate stores. We're getting into these times where you're expected to do more with less. And profitability is becoming more and more due to things like tariffs and product availability. And so I think those margins are getting harder and harder and harder. So managing, obviously labor is one of your biggest expense items. So managing that and making sure that you're optimizing that as much as possible is definitely going to be key to kind of overcome some of these things.
Do these forces also impact your business and how the customers actually, what expectations they have from Shiftlab?
Yeah, absolutely. We like to partner with our customers pretty hand in hand. I mean, we have a great operations and customer success team that we're out there listening. We also love to build. So there are some of our features that we built because of customers saying, "Hey, this is a challenge we have. How can you help us solve it?" So we sit down with them, we kind of scope it, talk through it, and then we'll build it. So to answer your question, absolutely. Um, they look to us to kind of help solve some of their pain points, which we're happy to do because obviously one person's feeling it, so is everyone else.
Yeah, so I guess in a way you can actually help them become more efficient
Yeah,
and
yeah,
less I guess per unit of work the cost could be lower.
yeah, yeah. We typically see a gross profit increase, gross profit per labor hour. One of our best use cases within the first 30 days of a launch, we saw a $7 per employee per hour lift in gross profit. And that was just, the organization was over scheduling. Just middle of the week, we had 3 or 4 associates just kind of standing around. So we've created an automation around kind of their historicals, and they came back to us 30 days later with a big smile on their face. So
That's nice. That's nice. What kind of data do you use to do this automation?
yeah, so we partner with a lot of different point of sales systems. We just need point of sale data to get your sales transactions and your historicals brought into the platform, traffic data. So we partner with tons of different traffic providers as well. We bring that in, we run it through our machine learning and our forecasting. And then we spit out we sit down with the customer and say, hey, how aggressive, how lean, answer a few of these questions. And then we can kind of build that out in a matter of seconds to fully optimize.
Okay, so POS data, foot traffic
Yep.
data. What about like environmental factors, like a storm is coming, or does the system also take those things into account?
So we're getting, I will say we're getting better on that. We've got a few T-Mobile partners in the Houston area that were affected by hurricanes. So those things are flagged for us to review next year because obviously that's going to be an anomaly. But yeah, we that's definitely something that we're working on because there are, as you and I talked before, it's starting to snow pretty heavily here. So those are factors that we're definitely looking at.
Yeah, yeah. And then how do you handle employee performance? Do you also do that like as far as like for performance reviews and things like that, or?
So we don't do employee reviews right now. We're scheduling in time, but from a performance perspective, we do rank associates based on certain KPIs. So during the implementation setup, we would have a conversation with the administrative team and just say, hey, how do we want to rank associates? We can do boxes per hour, gross profit. We can do net promoter score. So just tell us how you want to rank the associates, and then we can bring that data in. And then when we're automating, we're going to put your best people in the best possible shifts. But from a review and documentation standpoint, we don't store that information in the system. We do partner with HRS systems to pass
Mhm.
payroll. So that is definitely something that we're working on as well.
What do you think about how the actual end user feels about your software? Because the end user, I'm assuming they probably have an app or some form of the actual employees using the
Mhm.
software and maybe getting updates. How do you gauge how they like the product?
Yeah, so we are a web app. So everything, we're iPad, Samsung, everything friendly. We will have a native app by the end of the year. We're in the final review process in the app stores, so we will have a native app. But honestly, the feedback has been really great. Employees like having a device friendly. They can actually look at their schedule. They can punch in and out. And again, we have multiple ways to go about this, but we have IP verification. So if you want to punch in from your phone, you walk in, it verifies the IP address is good. It allows you to punch in. We have a couple other features, shift swaps. So if I don't want to work this Friday, I can put that up, but that can all be done from mobile. So just giving the employees the flexibility to kind of make some of these changes on the fly has been really nice versus, oh hey, like the schedule's printed out, now I need to go talk to my manager it's on the back wall kind of
Yeah.
deal. So yeah.
That IP verification point is pretty interesting. It's all about like reducing the number of steps for people to get their work done.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that, yeah,
absolutely. And we've had customers in the past that do geofencing, and we just geofencing is just typically too large of an area. So we just went the IP verification route. We found it's pretty locked down to that store level. So that's the method we decided to go with.
as long as they're connected to the store Wi-Fi,
Yep,
they
absolutely.
can do that. Yeah, okay. So what are some of the things that, let's say, like your biggest customers? Maybe we can talk about one of them or one or two that you would like to mention as an example of how you started working with them and where things are right now and how do you see it moving into the future?
Yeah, this is yeah. Let me think about a couple use cases. Really good use cases come to mind. One that I like to talk about. I mentioned their gross profit number earlier. They came to us. They had just acquired some new locations and they had no visibility. into kind of their workforce. Reporting was all over the place. Um, Half their locations were doing scheduling a certain way, another was doing it a different way. There was no data being brought in. So we sat down with them and kind of just showed them, hey, this is what a uniform, we would take the brain of the CFO, put it into the platform, and then we're going to work off of those metrics. This is the gross profit targets we're looking for. So we sat down with them, and we have with the point of sale data and the traffic data, we get those feeds updated pretty frequently throughout the day. The whole thesis behind Shiftlab is to give managers the data in real time so they can make educated decisions for the business. So giving them that visibility into kind of how the store's performing, or, they can take a look at the app and say, hey, Ryan has been here for 4 hours. He has not made a sale yet. Let me go talk to him. And, you go coach the person, and, oh, hey, my cat ran away this morning. I'm having a bad day. And, maybe you get them out of that mindset. So, yeah, that's a use case we like to talk about. They just had so many things happening and no clarity. So we brought it all together into one singular system, gave them some reporting, and the rest is history for those folks.
Who's your typical customer? Is it like only enterprise, or do you also work with smaller players?
Yeah, it's really by user. Typically, 10 doors or more. But when you start getting into that, managing 20, 25, 30 users and more, it becomes a little bit harder to manage than just like an Excel spreadsheet. You got performance being considered, you have employee availability and those things. But yeah, typically we're seeing large enterprise, wireless, retail. Cannabis has been an industry recently. Cannabis is getting squeezed for margins in multiple different ways. So they're looking for ways to optimize. Again, labor being one of the biggest P&L items. Trying to optimize that labor, but cannabis is interesting though, because a wireless location is going to have 4 to 5 associates. A cannabis location is going to have 20 to 25. So it's just from a doors perspective, it just depends. But typically, users, your 20, 25 users and above is where you start getting into the kind of our ideal customers.
And the user is considered the number of employees.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. The end user. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because I do a lot of work with smaller retailers, regional retailers, and everybody needs this kind of a solution.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking right now, is that like who are some of the people in the space that actually go to the level of like even like an independent boutique or flower shop, or like a really small uh, retailer.
Yeah. I mean, we have, just to show some diversity here, we do have some wireless dealers that have, 5 locations, but we do also support an entire wireless carrier. This carrier has
Mhm.
every single one of their doors on our platform. So, um, it's really, how sufficient do you want to run your operation?
What's the I guess fee structure like? Is it per user and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah. We're a per user base, so anybody being scheduled or anybody accessing the system. Yeah,
okay, and it's like a monthly fee per
yeah,
user.
yeah. Per user per month. Correct.
Okay. And then what's the startup and getting set up process like?
Yeah, honestly, this is my favorite part about working with Shiftlab. I worked with a different software organization prior, and implementation always was a heavy lift. But here at Shiftlab, we're a jet ski. We're not a cruise ship, so we can go as quick as you can get us data. We can set up a couple data feeds and get us an employee feed in a matter of 2 weeks. We could have your account live. We typically handle training. We would train your field, or if you have a trainer, we could train your trainer. And then we launch. It's a fairly user friendly system. There's always a couple tech questions that we got to work through. Who your payroll is and how we're processing that out. But yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite parts here is we can launch very quickly. I had two deals actually launch on 12/1 of this, a couple weeks ago, which never happens in retail and in this environment. But they wanted to move quickly before Christmas because they wanted to make sure they were not missing these traffic spikes. So yeah, we got them launched pretty quickly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean that's really important. The onboarding and training is also very important because
Yeah,
ultimately you want to make sure that people use the product. Now, this is a type of a software that they don't have a choice. Once you go live,
yeah,
they have to use it, right?
yeah. I mean, we are the clock in, clock out system. So absolutely.
Yeah. So that having being able to provide that support, especially as a new customer is getting started, is
Mhm.
critical. And these times, yeah.
Yeah, and from a support perspective, we do all the support in house. On our mobile app, there's a chat bubble. That if you pop that up, it goes straight to our team. It hits my phone. It hits our VP of Ops phone. So typically, you have a response pretty quickly. And Sean, our VP of Operations, does a great job. Just having a cadence with our customers. Just we're always looking for ways to continue to drive those profits back into the doors. So
Yeah, definitely the native apps are going to be really helpful.
yeah, we're looking forward to that.
End of this year is like the next week or so, right?
Yeah,
You're like right there. Okay, that'll
yeah.
be
I
cool.
refresh my email pretty frequently, looking for that update. So
Waiting for the App Store
yeah,
approval.
absolutely. Yep.
Um, Now, how is Gen AI changing the business? Is that changing your business at all?
Yeah, we've got a couple things that we're working on. Without giving away the farm, we're definitely looking into help drive some retention. That's one of the things I always hear, as you mentioned earlier, in the retail space is retention is a pretty important metric. So we're looking at doing some sentiment analysis through some of the tools that we're developing, just to give like a DM or leadership level kind of a snapshot. So if I know like, hey, this district I keep seeing these negative words pop up. Let me actually go do a store visit and see what's going on. So just trying to draw attention to some problem areas prior to or we see, hey, Ryan has never clocked in late, but over the last 30 days he's clocked in late 3 times. Let's do a touch base. Just shooting that alert to an assistant manager, a manager, a DM,
Mhm.
whoever, somebody that they can just do a quick touch base. So that's kind of some of the things we're looking at.
So in order to, so you're, I know it's a product in development, so we can't talk about it too much, but I'm thinking like for Gen AI to provide any kind of output which is useful like that, you would have to have a model which is trained and then it's taking input
Mhm.
and it knows how to interpret these different things. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We've got a couple things that are going to give us some nice inputs from the end user and employee perspective. We're excited to release a couple features will definitely help with that model.
Okay, great. So what are some of the shows that you're planning to attend?
Yeah, we will be actually in about 3 weeks. We will be at a consumer electronics show, a nice show that we do every year, and then the following week after that, we will be at NRF in New York. But every year, one of the big ones that, from the wireless perspective, that we like to go to is the Prepaid Expo. Typically happens in August in Las Vegas. That event's just prepaid's just really tough with margins, and we've seen a lot of good wins in the prepaid space. So we like to have representation there just because we know how hard those guys work and we know how tough those margins are. One sale can make or break that organization. So yeah, those are a few off the top of my head that we're looking forward to.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just actually recently interviewed the co-founders of a company called Paymore. You probably know them.
Yeah,
They're also in the same electronics, mostly mobile, like devices
yeah,
resale business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I
Are
know
they
those guys. Yeah.
are they customer?
They're not a customer now.
Not yet.
Not yet. One of these days. And we'll send them this. So yeah, there you go.
Um, Now, what like when you look at a customer trying to decide which solution to go to, what factors do you recommend them to evaluate?
Yeah, we always like to compare, kind of like your current state. What challenges are you having? Um, one of our biggest selling points is we love to talk about our ROI. And typically we see, an 18% lift in profit per hour, a 6% reduction in just downtime, and then typically around a 15% lift in guest experience. Just because, people aren't standing around. You've got your staffed accordingly, then your wait times go down. So, but we love to talk about that, and we have an analyst on our team. I'm going to give him a shout out because he's awesome. Nathan does some amazing things for us, but Nathan is able to, if you want to send us some historical data, we can take a look at it, do a quick analysis, and say, hey, here's where you were, here's where you could have been, here's the ROI that we think we could generate for you. And 9 times out of 10, we're able to hit that number pretty easily. Um, so that's kind of a scenario that I like to talk through is, what challenger you have. Let me take a look at your data and I'll tell you flat out, here's the money we're leaving on the table.
Okay, so looking again at the like the criteria, is cost the main issue of selection?
It's there's I think the biggest thing is cost is usually in there. Complexity. We run into some organizations that it's just a really complex process that they have on their side. They have an entire team dedicated to, hey, we have this person that checks the cameras. If this person forgets to clock out, then that person goes and watches a video and tries to determine, and then they go back and then they put in the time, and like we automate all of that. So complexity of the workflow, cost is in there, and then just labor efficiency. We've had a couple conversations recently with organizations who felt like they were doing okay, but they think there's more opportunity, and they just uh, transparently don't trust their management team to make the tweaks that our automation will.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like other than the software itself, which is an enabler for flexibility and extensibility, it's also the additional services
Yeah,
that
yeah.
do make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. And from our support function as well. I keep mentioning Sean, but he's crucial to our organization. He works with the customers hand in hand, and he's lived this life. He's run organizations, and so he's able to share some key insights on, hey, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'd suggest. So yeah, definitely agree with the additional services.
Okay, last question. From a sales executive point of view yourself, how has AI changed your work
Mm-hmm.
and your team's work? If you like, I don't know how big the
Yeah.
team is.
I think from my perspective, the biggest change that I have seen is it's just sped up research. I don't think AI will ever replace the human interaction. Back when I used to coach sales rep at Singular, people are going to buy from people they like. But we used to spend a lot more time researching just to make it, a personalized email or personalized outreach, whatever. I think that's just sped it up. I have friends that use AI to generate all their outreach, and it is very hard to swallow because I read it and I'm like, you would never use that word. I know who you are, and you would never use that word. So I like to use it just to, give me some synopsis on who this person is and their persona, what they like to do, just to get a little bit of clarity on who I'm speaking to. But the outreach for me is still something that I take very seriously. I want it to be a personal, like I want to
Yeah,
build a relationship. I don't, yeah, that's,
especially at the enterprise level.
yeah,
Um, Yeah. I mean, even at the local level, I think the more we get into my personal experience is the more we use AI and software, the more we appreciate the human.
No, I do not disagree. Yeah,
Yeah.
I joke with my wife sometimes because I work from home and I tell her I'm gonna run down there's a local spot. I'm gonna go down here and just get an iced tea because I want to talk to you human. I don't want to talk to Chat GPT right now. I just want to talk to you human.
Yeah. I just saw an ad yesterday or something, and this was really funny. This guy goes to a convenience store, and the person says, "Hi, how are you?" So he takes out his phone and talks ChatGPT. This person is asking me how am I? And then
Yeah.
he answers, and then the cashier takes his phone out and he says, "Oh, this person said he's fine. What should I respond?"
Yeah. What do I do now?
And it
Yeah,
just
that's
keeps going on, and then he ends up calling 911, and the guy behind 911 is using ChatGPT.
oh,
So
yeah. I hope I'm never to that point.
it was pretty funny. But I
Yeah.
mean, it is like I've heard people like that they are like not sending anything, like they're not communicating with people before checking with AI,
Yeah.
which is sad because
It is.
ultimately, like, I mean, what do you do when you're meeting people in person?
Right, right. Yeah, I can't imagine, trying to pull my phone out in the middle of a meeting to verify something. But
Yeah, the sales part is also very interesting. I mean, all the tools you probably use like a CRM, I'm sure,
Mhm.
and they're starting to inject all these Gen AI tools in their different things. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. I get those frequently. Those as I'm composing an email, it'll pop up and give me my email suggestions. And hey, we see a higher conversion with this number or that, or
yeah.
ask this question. And it's like I'm just shooting an email like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
Well, before we end, is there anything else that you would like to tell the audience about Shiftlab and anything else?
yeah, I mean, you can check us out, shiftlab.io. Would love to connect with anybody that is just wanting to have a conversation. You can find me on LinkedIn, Ryan Esteb, Ryan. Last name is Esteb. But yeah, I mean, to the point we just had, I love talking to people. If even if Shift Lab's not right from you, I'm going to learn from our conversation, and maybe you're going to spark a feature idea for us to build and solve your problem. So looking forward to any and all conversations.
Awesome. And then, of course, if anybody's going to CES or NRF, they can
Yeah,
reach out to you and maybe meet in person, which is even
yeah,
better.
absolutely. I would love to actually have a conversation in person. I almost forget what that feels like. So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
yeah, thanks, Darius. Thanks for having me.